Good afternoon and welcome to the channel. Today I want to hopefully give an introduction to a few tools that it seems to me are necessary for the various communities that are trying to form on Discord and other places. I keep seeing these Discord communities fragment, collapse, various aspects of them seem to fail, to unwind. So I suppose, I mean, I've got so many tools, but I'm trying to give a simple introduction to a few of them. And I'm trying to give a decent introduction to the general concept rather than to list a bunch of specific ideas. So imagine, if you will, that the problem is that we're trying to build a community on technological platforms and on large group system dynamics rather than on something more fundamental, something more sturdy. When we build all our parts on a Discord server through, Facebook, some people do that, we are limited by those structures. Not only the structure of the software we're using, but whatever structures we can build within them, which is very limited. So my ambition, I suppose, is to define a range of principles and practices which build community not on any one infrastructure, but build them cross infrastructure, thus welding true community, not just community in the mode of some medium, which is what is primarily happening right now. I think we're confusing the medium for the way community happens, instead of forging community and then using whatever medium we think is most accurate or most useful in the moment. So what does that look like? Well, I mean, in some ways that's obvious, right? You build community. You get to know people. You talk with them. Build alliances of friendships that last a long time, and you trust each other. You do shadow work. You make it about who the people are that you're getting to know, rather than the medium through which you're getting to know them. And of course, the problem is we've all gotten very used to this idea of I'm anonymous, and that protects me, and I can be whoever I want to be. But the problem is if you're with all these layers of protection, creates a lack of true community. And then all that has to happen is the infrastructure that you built everything on, all those protective layers, once what has allowed you to protect yourself has crumbled, you're left without the connection. So it is, if you're looking for true community, then you're looking for vulnerability. And so you have to be willing to build something stronger than the facade, than the infrastructure, which is true community. So, but how do we do that? There's so many of us, it's so hard to find it. The infrastructures, these websites, these servers, whatever medium we're using, they allow us to connect, right? To find each other. Yes, so continue to do that, but do not leave it there. Find other mediums, connect in many ways. But, okay, how do I transition into this idea? I don't know, so I guess I'll just jump into it. I was trying to do a nice, smooth transition, but anyway. As a suggestion, it seems to me that there has to be a suggested structure we use in order to connect with each other, in order to do our shadow work, in order to find something like a repeatable, copyable structure that can go viral and that everybody can pick up quickly, learn, and start using and use to connect with each other. I'm not saying it's perfect. In fact, I'm only making a suggestion, and I want to see how this suggestion is iterated and grown and, crowdsourced and rebuilt by many people using it. All right, get to the point, Matthew. So here's a very, very, very basic structure that I would suggest. So I want to imagine, if you will, that each individual forms is a member of 4 groups of 4 individuals. This is a suggestion, but that's a manageable number, I think. That's 12 groups that you are willing to, 12 people split into around four groups that you are willing to work with on some common project. So maybe each group will have a different project, different purpose, different plan, different intent. But try to keep it to 4 so that it's manageable, so that you're not, so that you can be involved maximally with each group. And of course, you can break these. These are not permanent. They can be. You can switch members. You can disband. You can reform, etc., etc. But the idea is to just begin forming these communities, and these communities again would be transparent. They would not be hidden behind avatars. They would be people being honest with each other, forging the trust it requires to be truly honest with each other, so that shadow work can happen, so that true community can happen. And what are you building? What are you working on? At the very least, I would suggest work together to build some form of contract that builds that unifies each other. And then the second step would be whatever common project you guys can agree upon. Do you want to be do you want to help each other write? Do you want to suggest books to each other? Do you want to write a book together? Do you have a philosophy you want to work on? Do you have software you want to develop? Whatever it is. But the point is that each individual, each has 4 groups they're part of 4 people. But that individual should be the only one those 4 groups have in common. And each individual can then become a node in a network. In fact, the contract, I would suggest, would not be only between the group of 4 people, but through an individual to the other 4. And these contracts don't have to be legal contracts. They're just that which they agree upon, right? If you break the contract, well, maybe you're out of the club, or maybe there's, an apology is all that's needed. It depends, whatever they work out. But the idea is that we build something stronger than a platform. We build true community first. in spite of whatever platform you might be using, not because of. And then you use the platform how you want. But you remember that whatever platform you're on, whatever server, whatever device, whether it's Marco Polo or Discord or YouTube videos back and forth or Facebook or Twitter, whatever platform you're using, connect with each other through it. But remember that you exist apart from it, and keep each other's contacts so that you can connect with each other other ways. Ideally, even so that you can mail each other gifts and stuff, and have that kind of connection. I think in a perfect world, to perfectly ensure, well, I'm not going to go there. That's my fears. Okay, I'll tell you what I was thinking, just so you're not wondering. I worry about complete systemic breakdown of our social infrastructure, our technological infrastructure, because it's a weak system. Say the wrong pandemic hits, we had a softball thrown at it this time. What if the next pandemic is truly destructive? Or what if there is a solar flare large enough to wipe out the electrical grid of all of the United States, and what happens, So my ideal is that you would not just be forming these contracts on the internet, but at least one or two locally, maybe in addition to your 4 on internet. I don't know. That's up to the individual. And of course, the 404 is just a suggestion again. So that is my first suggestion. Is this idea of 4 contracts, and with each individual being the only individual that 4 have in common, if you can imagine 8 fingers, they all are connected by one person, right? So that there's 3, 3, 3, 3, and then 1. But all the other people are also connected by 4, because those 4 are only connected by that one individual. And then that has 2, this individual has 4 groups of 4, this individual has 4 groups of 4, that individual has 4 groups of 4, then you get the point. It's a tapestry. It's a connection, connected community through degrees of separation, all built along common contracts. Because the ideal is that at the very least, when a group of 4 people has a contract, and one of those people has a group of other 4, and they have a similar contract, and they say, hey, our contract updated this way, would you guys like to update it that way? And then you get this wonderful continuous connection between people. All right, I think I'm going to stop. I got to do some shopping, and this video is long enough. But there are other tools that this can be layered onto this to help build greater infrastructure, and to build an infrastructure that is truly grassroots. And I mean, hopefully you can imagine the implications of this. If these contracts could be enforced in some productive way, if a lot of ifs, if there's a lot of ifs, if some really true infrastructure is built this way, though, something lasting, something where individuals are even training each other up to be better people, not just hanging out with each other and getting up to no good, but actually encouraging each other to be better human beings, then there's a sense in which such a structure could begin replacing, not overthrowing, but replacing many aspects of governance, of official governments. Democracies are kind of a joke nowadays, in my opinion, because we're not choosing who we get to vote for. Who we get to vote for is chosen for us. And the people that we get, the only people that we are allowed to vote for are these ridiculously vetted, a million, strings tied to them individuals that, I mean, it's barely democracy, right? And the worst part is people don't realize it. Okay, I'm going off the deep end with this, and I didn't mean to. So I'm suggesting begin at least this small step of finding 4 groups of 4 people and form a contract. I have some suggestion on what that might look at, but not near as many as I'd like. I'd love to find out what your contracts look like when you figure them out. because that is another piece of data we need. We need a commons, so that as all these groups form their communities and begin figuring out their processes, there's a way for that data to pool back into a common bucket, if you will, and then all the groups start looking at it again. And this is really the real reason I want to see this happen, is various communities of various topics can plug into a common group of commons, group of commons. You have your group of 4 people, or however many, if you think you need more than 5 or less than 5, or more than 4 or less than 4. But let's say you are a trying to figure out a technical programming solution to some problem, and you're a part of a group of other groups of 4 or whatever who are trying to do the same thing. You are a tight community in a loose community, instead of everyone being a loose community. Plus, your tight community is part of other tight communities directly, right? Each of you 4 have other groups. So imagine the loose community has a commons bucket, all these things that they're saying, this is what we're doing. Then that distributes to those smaller groups so that they can look at it and so that they can upgrade their ideas. And so you have a cycle of crowdsourcing that happens, such that errors are discovered, problems are eliminated, and new ideas are innovated and integrated. And again, this is just all a suggestion. The main point is that we free ourselves from dependency on any one infrastructure, and we build true community directly by trusting in each other, by building a common contract, not so that we can lord it over to each other, but because it's what we all want, right? And so you defend it because it's what you want, not because other people are forcing you. Okay, I said I was going to stop, and then I kept going, but I'm going to stop this time. Thank you for your time. I hope this was interesting and helpful.